What's up, guys? Welcome back to AI Infused Network with me, Riff. Now, today's episode is actually super interesting because we're going to talk about AI versus God. And from someone that's in a faith like myself, all right, I look at AI from a completely different perspective than, people that are atheists or, other religions or anything like that. So we're going to talk about AI versus God from that perspective. And we're going to look at God's characteristics, the three main ones, all right, compared to the current capabilities of AI and where it's headed. Right now, we're still on our way towards our 500 subscribers. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Really helps out the channel. Without any further ado, let's go. The first thing we're going to look at is God's characteristics as described in the Bible, right? So in the Bible, it talks about God being omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient. Now, these things are fairly easy to understand, but if you're unfamiliar with these terms, omnipotent is just God being all powerful, right? So God is super powerful, is the most powerful being in the universe ever, right? So omnipresent is God being in all places at all times, right? So God is here, there, he's with you, he's in China, he's in Africa, he's everywhere at the same time. And God being omniscient is just God being all knowing, right? Knowing all knowledge that nothing can really surprise God. Now, let's look at this from an AI perspective. Okay, so those three characteristics of God in the Bible kind of translates to AI capabilities so far, right? Now, if we try to compare them like for like, compute would be exactly like being omnipotent, right? The power of AI and, being able the data centers and all of the synthetic data. Now, because, a lot of people have been up in the air about the data coming from OpenAI and all these companies. Are they using our data? Are they kind of exploiting our information, etc. But now they're just using AI to create fake data, right? They're calling it synthetic data. Now, that means they can create unlimited amount of data with, no end in sight, right? And vision would be, like omnipresence, right? So God being everywhere. So AI being able to see things at all times. Now, I just think about this like a Tesla car, for example, right? Which I'm going to show you guys a little bit later. But it has cameras on the front and cameras on the back, cameras on the side, and they're all on at the same time. So they're constantly monitoring, right? Like you and I could not do that physically. We can't watch our back and our front at the same time. Now, AI can, right? And AI can watch this car, that car, the other car, you know what I mean? It can watch this street. Like in China, there's cameras absolutely everywhere. Also, the last part is omniscient and being all-knowing for AI would be like all the learning models right now, right? Because you have the world models, which we're going to look at a little bit later. You got the language models, you got action models, and these are things that are constantly breaking new ground in AI, right? So let's look at these things kind of one by one, and we're going to start with compute. And because the crazy thing is about compute, Sam Altman actually has been asked about his $7 trillion question. Okay, so check this video out.
I do think that investing a lot of money in AI compute, energy, data centers is going to be important to deliver the amount of services people want and the tools that we all are going to really, I think, get a huge amount of value out of to help create better futures.
So as you saw in that video there, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, talking about how much compute is actually needed to achieve all their goals. And they're talking about now when it comes to power, this is probably where AI is still a little bit behind. I'm saying at least 2 to 3 years at best. The compute power required to constantly break new grounds grows exponentially, right? So that means they constantly need more to break new grounds. Now, this means millions of chips are needed to run these models. Now, currently, humans don't have the capability to solve the AI energy dilemma, right? Ironically, they were going to need AI to develop new energy systems for AI to be more efficient. So we can safely say that this won't be achieved for a while, as long as we still hold the power cable as humans, right? Now, omnipresence, on the other hand, it's a little bit different. Now, check this out. Okay, so when it comes to all three capabilities compared to the three characteristics of God, I believe vision or omnipresence will be the easiest of all three that AI can achieve because it can be everywhere currently, really. You most likely have a smartphone in your house, right? And if you're watching this video, you are using a smartphone or a computer or iPad or something like that, right? You got Starlink satellites that fly around everywhere and they can send connection to just about anywhere in the world, unless you are, Amish community or some kind of community that rejects all things, generally. But when AI takes over the net, it will also be everywhere, right? So let's look at, so when it comes to AI vision, this is kind of complicated a little bit because, they're not all together yet. So you have things like the Tesla cars or smart cars in general that are able to, see a lot of things at once. You got, medical devices that can now see inside of a human and spot, all types of diseases and stuff. And people got, Ring cameras, all type. But we have cameras everywhere, right? You got the Vision Pros, like they're just cameras. We can see a lot of things now. How difficult is it for AI to tap into those cameras eventually, right? Someone's going to create some type of link to where you can just, easily show AI whatever you want it to see. And in China, for example, they've got, cameras everywhere, being able to watch their every move, and they're on some type of system that kind of grades you daily, and it limits you if you are not behaving like a responsible citizen. I believe this kind of technology is on the way just about everywhere, but it's just adopted right now in China, but I'm sure it's coming around. And also, you have Tesla vehicles that kind of look like this. I mean, there are several companies right now working on full self-driving, with Tesla kind of leading the way. And, being able to, have your car drive you around, that's essentially AI knowing not only where you're going, what the world looks like, what's around. It's seeing just about everything. It's seeing almost as good as you are, but it is seeing all those things at once, right? So it's not like you and I, where if I turn to the side, I'm only seeing that, right? Maybe peripherally, I'm seeing a little bit to the left, but you have a camera on the Tesla that's seeing the front, back, the side, the door, the inside. It's seeing just about everything, and it's scanning it, and it's managed all of it at once, which is pretty crazy. Okay, so in order for AI to become omniscient, it must know all things, kind of like God knows all things. So in order for it to achieve that, it's using these machine learning technology, right? And the most impressive one, I think, so far is the world models, right? Because you've heard about the LLMs, the large language models. Now, check out this video on how the world model works.
Calling general world models GWMs, and we believe that they're the next big thing. Similar to LLMs, general world models are given a large amount of data, but not just text. It's also given videos, images, and audio, everything you'd need in order to understand how the world works. And with all this information, the models build out sort of a mental map for themselves.
So as you saw there, the world model is actually crazy because it goes beyond just language, right? Like which I'm using right now, the English language, right? It's adding in video, images, sound, all types of references for AI to now put all of those things together. And by the end of this, it will know most things because it's been giving that data. Now, as you can see just here on the other learning models here, you have the large language, which is your ChatGPT 1, at least the first one that came out. Now, the next one I'm guessing is going to have all these models probably together in one. You got your action models. There are some companies working on, things that just do things like, book a flight for you, book a vacation, call this, set up that. And you got your world models, which you just saw. And the agent models are pretty interesting. So being able to set up different AIs to do different things all at once. Now, what's stopping somebody eventually from putting all this together into one single entity, right? How close would that entity be into like God-like powers, right? So ultimately, are we creating something that will eventually compete with God, at least from a biblical perspective, being as someone in the faith? I see it as, direct comparison and a little bit of a competition. But I believe people will look at it as God, right? And therefore it might even be establishing a new religion, right? It is predicted in the Bible that, there will be some type of entity that, will pretend to be God. And there will be a lot of people that will actually worship and, follow this entity. Now, is that entity all of these, AI world models, language models, all computed into one and then slapped into some type of robotic? I'm not sure that part. I don't know, but I can see it kind of forming. Can you? What do you guys think about all these AI development and these godlike powers they're trying to harness and out of technology essentially? And you think it's going to achieve that? And if you're not even in the faith or anything like that, do you even see this becoming godlike? By definition, at least. Let me know in the comments, and also make sure you hit that subscribe button because we're going to be bringing you more videos like this because a lot of people are covering AI news, new breakthroughs, new capabilities and stuff like that. So I'm not competing with any of those channels. What we want to talk about is more in depth. And, sometimes you might get a little bit of coverage here, me sometimes roasting something, but I like this kind of serious talk a little bit because it's very important because I know there's somebody like this that's in the faith and looking at this AI stuff like, this is kind of becoming, in godlike territory, but it'll never really be God because ultimately there's only one God, at least from my perspective, right? So anyway, let me know what you guys think and we'll see you guys on the next video.